Welcome. I'm Alicia Galat with Neumann University's Newsmakers. With me is Robert Whalen, Director of the Chamber Music Series for the Delaware County Symphony. Thanks so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
Well, first, let's get started. For people who don't know like me, what is chamber music?
Chamber music is music that's meant to be performed in a smaller space originally. So it's usually for a group of 3 or 4 or 5 and up to about 12 musicians. And this music allows orchestra musicians to embrace a new type of role because they're playing one on a part now, unlike a string section where you have up to 8 people playing the same part, or more sometimes. So in this context, the musicians are leaders and playing a leadership role within this ensemble.
Awesome. Now, why does a symphony orchestra have a chamber series?
Well, the idea is that playing in a symphony orchestra should be exactly the same as playing chamber music. It's just with 100 people instead of 4. And that everyone should be listening and playing with the same type of intensity and focus as you would in chamber music.
Gotcha. Now, how often do you guys have concerts?
We have concerts 4 times a year in September, November, February, and April.
Hey, can you tell me about the one that's coming up in February?
February is called No Strings Attached. And we're really excited about this because there's such a large body of repertoire for string instruments and like string quartets or string trios or that sort of thing. And this concert has none of that. It's all about advocating for the musicians of the wind section, the brass section, percussion section. So we have several pieces for percussion ensemble, a duet for clarinet, 2 clarinets and piano, and then music for brass ensemble. It's going to be very exciting, very fun.
Now, you mentioned the percussion ensemble. What instruments play in a percussion ensemble?
Well, it's interesting because I'm a percussionist myself, and when asked, well, you're a percussionist, what do you play? Well, I have 100 instruments that I have to learn, and that can be anything from a snare drum to xylophone or glockenspiel or cymbals, or, you know, the whole variety of percussion instruments that there are. So it's its own orchestra in a way because there are so many different color possibilities with the instruments. And so each instrumentalist in the percussion ensemble can play multiple instruments at once. So some of the pieces we're performing include xylophone and drum set and timpani and all sorts of other instruments. So it's a really completely different sonic color palette than what we're used to.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even realize how many instruments the percussionists actually
There are a lot.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, can you tell me about the next concert you have coming up in April?
Yes, April, we are doing another wonderful collaboration with the Academy of International Ballet. This is our 3rd year in a row where we're partnering with them, and we're presenting Saint-Saëns' Carnival of the Animals, it was in Fantasia 2000, and it's a very well-known work for the whole family. It's so fun and interesting because he characterizes each animal in the zoo with a particular movement of this piece.
Oh, awesome. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, so the famous one is the swan for the cello, but there are also beautiful other movements like the aquarium. You can really hear the fishes swimming through the water. It's incredible.
Yeah, I got to check that one out. Now, can you tell us about, you were just talking about the International Ballet. Can you tell us about your partnership with them?
Yes, 2 years ago we started a partnership where we included performance of the ballet with the chamber music series, which is on the rare side. Oftentimes ballet performs with a symphony orchestra. So to do chamber music with the ballet is something relatively new. And we performed works which included compositions by our artist in residence, Jennifer Campbell, who's a phenomenal pianist. And last season we performed Rimsky-Korsakov's very famous Scheherazade with an arrangement for 2 pianos and dance, and it was spectacular.
You mentioned Four Seasons of Buenos Aires is also on the program. Now, who is that soloist?
The soloist for the Four Seasons of Buenos Aires is Nina Vieira, our amazing concertmaster for the Delaware County Symphony. And there's a wonderful story about the Four Seasons of Buenos Aires, because it's an unusual piece, and it's inspired by Vivaldi's Four Seasons, which we all know so well. But Piazzolla is an Argentinian composer, and he did his early studies in Paris. And he studied with a famous teacher named Nadia Boulanger, who is very influential and was the mentor of many famous composers, including Aaron Copland and others. And when he was studying with her, he was asked to write in very traditional forms of like canon and fugue and all sorts of very traditional styles of music. in Europe at that time, and it just wasn't working for him. So he was approached by Boulanger and said, what would you write if you weren't writing this music? And the next day he brought back a tango. And she was so impressed, she said, never write anything else other than this. And so he kept the style and the spirit of the tango into every piece that he wrote, and that's what he brings to the Four Seasons of Buenos Aires.
Wow, well, I love that story. It's really inspirational. And thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, thank you.
And thank you for watching.